morning, friends. I've got 10:04 actually, so I'll call this meeting to order 4 minutes later than scheduled. But we'll begin this morning with an invocation as usual, followed by the pledges. Dear Lord, I come to you this morning and thank you for the start of another day, another week. We thank you, Lord, for your blessings upon us in this community. I pray that you would guide us in all the decisions before us today and in the week ahead. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right. The next item we have on our agenda is citizens' communication. Anyone with us this morning that would like to address the court on any county-related business, you're welcome to do so. Like to point out and to welcome Mayor Crocker, who's here with us this morning. I think wearing his hat as with the Navigation District. Also, hopefully you're on the clock.
Yeah.
And, of course, Representative A.J. Louderback with us this morning.
Welcome.
It was last week, we actually had a conversation up here, Representative, about how appreciative we were of you and the good work you did this legislative session, both fighting against bad ideas and advocating for a lot of our interests. The good things we saw, and appreciate very much your responsiveness and effectiveness this session. So just want to communicate that to you and certainly give you the chance if you want to share a word, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you, Judge, for those kind comments. It's an honor to serve y'all, honor to serve the constituents of Victoria County. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Judge, I'd like to just say real quick, I want to put a public thank you out to all the precincts, road and bridge employees for the long extended hours that they worked well into the evening, into the dark, and through the weekend on this holiday weekend for Father's Day. Appreciate each and every one of them, and just continue to ask the public to be patient with us as we make these repairs to our drainage and road system. Thank you.
And I second that, Commissioner. The guys really worked hard and still working hard. We got a lot of issues from these headwaters we're dealing with.
Yes,
So,
big time, still a lot of issues, and I'm sure that Rick's going to tell us all about it.
He
Well,
is
I thought
indeed.
the,
That was a lot of water.
The folks in our audience were here because they heard we were going to be speaking, but that's probably not the case. So unfortunately, yeah. So I'm going to kind of do a recap of June 12th. And Commissioner Martin, thank you for the kind words to the road and bridge folks who were out there because they did a heck of a job for a couple of days, all employees of the county and plus the city of Victoria. So June 12th, we had a severe weather event that occurred. You see a map, the rainfall map that was issued to Jen and I around 10:47 that morning with an estimated rainfall amount of 9.35 inches just south of Victoria, kind of out in the, I guess it'd be southwest side of the community, pretty much precinct 3, bullseye of that
Let's
area.
hit the Inez area.
Go to the next one for me. Here's the estimated totals that we did receive from the National Weather Service following up the next day. This is only for the city of Victoria. It was the easiest one for us to kind of focus in on. But this was the 24-hour rainfall total. Jen, if I'm incorrect in this, I think they run it from 7 to 7. And so we should have gotten the rainfall totals in from 7 a.m. from that morning all the way through the next day. So you can see pocketed areas of 6 inches and plus. Reminder, most of this came down within about 2 hours. And I'm being very generous when I say 2 hours, between the hours of 7 and 9. And so that was a severe amount of rainfall that fell on us. And there's only so much water you can move in that short period of time. Flash flooding was occurring everywhere. And when I say everywhere, it was occurring everywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing that I couldn't tell you folks. Can you go to the next one for me? So with that severe flash flooding that did occur, the city and county, we had citywide road closures, we had countywide road closures. We have an unknown total. They were happening so fast that we couldn't keep up with them. As soon as we could get a hold of the dispatch centers, we turned on the radios, we're listening to the traffic that was occurring, talking to your road and bridge folks as we were gathering the information.
Right.
Some of those roads were already coming reopened. Reminder, most roads flood because that's what they're intended to do. As we shed water from our roof lines, from our property, it goes into the stormwater management system, and we could probably get Ken Gill or somebody else here to talk more specifically about that, or even John. But that's what the roads are meant to do, is to carry that water away from our homes so the homes and businesses don't get flooded. Not saying that we didn't have any of those, but the road system did intended. Once again, when you have 5 inches of rain within about a 2-hour time period, that is a lot of water to move. So estimated numbers are around 65 abandoned and disabled vehicles within the city of Victoria and also Victoria County themselves, and numerous other calls for services. It got to the point where we were basically telling first responders, park your vehicles, be safe yourself so we don't ruin $1 million apparatus or $100,000 vehicle. And as they were responding to those calls as quickly as they could, record drivers were coming out. So Jenna then fired up what we call the TDM ISTAT, which is an individual reporting system for folks to go in our community to go and place in their damages. And so this was not a federally declared disaster, and so we don't believe that we'll receive any type of federal dollars for it. But the ISTAT allows us, Texas Division of Emergency Management, to start gaining a kind of a situational awareness, a picture of what happened within our community. And so many of y'all have called us. We have many of our residents that they had some water intrusion into their homes that were impacted by it. The best we can tell you is to urge them to seek insurance companies and seek the help of their insurance companies, and also some of the nonprofit groups that are here in our community that can reach out and help them maybe recover themselves and bring themselves back whole. Some of the other things that we were dealing with, can you go to the next slide real quick for me? Was the Guadalupe River. It responded pretty quick. By that evening, around 11 o'clock, Guadalupe River went up to, I can't see from here, 21.22 feet. So around 22 feet is what the Guadalupe River responded to. And so we also had the Garcitas Creek and Spring Creek watersheds were also responding to it because we had flash flooding. So I think can you go back one for me? The other thing I want to bring up was the Cletter Creek Reservoir. So Cletter Creek Reservoir was low at the time, and so it filled the capacity. If you know anything about the Cletter Creek Reservoir, they cannot discharge until they fill. Right. And so it seems kind of backwards. You would think they would start releasing as they see the water's coming in. They can't. They have to wait until they get to capacity, and then they start releasing from there. The releases were small as the day increased through Friday and into Saturday. We did start seeing them increase the capacity of their flow discharge rates, which are around 5,800 cubic feet per second. Our first impacts are associated at around 8,000 cubic feet per second. So we were working with Cletter Reservoir the whole time, making sure that we were meeting their requirements and ready to push out notifications. Obviously, we're in direct contact with Commissioner Martin because that impacts a lot of his residents that are downstream from there. And so they were issuing out some releases there as well. So can you go to the very last one? I think that should be it. So that is kind of in a nutshell what all happened. I cannot echo once again, the City of Victoria, Victoria County first responding body did great on coming out. And when I say first responding, that includes road and bridge, engineering, streets, you name it. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. Once again, when you get into the throes of this, sometimes you're just responding. And there's not much more you can do until we get some of that efforts off of us.
Right.
And so within that 2-hour period, it moved quick. So can't thank everybody enough for their patience. And we do understand that there's some community members out there that are probably needing some assistance. And we're going to see what we can do with our non-governmental organizations to help them recover from this.
Okay.
That was all I had.
Rick, as well, I
So-
probably failed to mention you, Jenna, and your staff as well for putting in the extra hours and making sure we were abreast of everything that was going on. So thank you and all of your staff, Sheriff's Office as well. I know we had a lot of calls into your dispatch. They were very patient. Thank you all as well.
And it definitely
Appreciate it.
takes a
Thank you.
team effort, man.
Well, we do.
We appreciate having you guys, especially in times like this. Y'all do respond. Y'all did respond professionally.
So how do we get the word out about this ISTAT? Because, we're sitting here on $6-point-something million from the GLO that were awarded to Victoria County over 2 years ago. Trail in my areas. I have a drainage project for Tilton area that people were underwater. And it's just, we have no idea what the status is on this MITMOD, and we need to get pictures to them. We need to get everybody to complain. Heck, a lot of these people probably don't even have a computer to make this complaint, and I'll do them for them.
Sure.
But we need to act on this.
We need to act on it too. I had some folks send me pictures. I told them the best thing that we could do to possibly get action is to send me pictures. Hardest thing to argue against is a good example of Mark Twain said.
Yep.
So that's the way I view it.
As a reminder for you folks, and I'll come back to answer your question, as a reminder to you, as you're having your precinct foreman go out, I know that all of them were doing it, consistently take pictures of the event that is occurring, so that if there is any type of damage,
We have
washouts,
plenty. We're putting together something
Yeah.
to send to them so they can see what's going on.
And so we'll have to look at that and see if we can declare any type of local disaster here, which I don't think will meet our threshold. And obviously, the state of Texas would have to meet $58 million threshold as well for presidents to declare. But to answer your question, what we can do is we can definitely push the ISTAT today. Feel free to have those people call our office, and we can make sure that we get them into the system. If they don't have access to a computer or
Okay.
some type of smart device, we can help them.
Okay.
All right.
process that.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Appreciate it.
I echo the thanks of your office and everybody else who was involved in and responded to all of this water. All right. Still in citizens' communication, anything else, anything additionally up here? I do know we had a scheduled workshop this afternoon related to Road and Bridge, but that's been canceled. I'm not sure when it will be rescheduled, Gianni, probably next week sometime.
We just couldn't pull away from the precincts all afternoon.
Understandably
Yeah.
so. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
will be rescheduled at a later
And we do
date.
apologize for
Oh,
for that.
no worries at all.
Thank you, Gianni.
Good morning,
morning,
Judge.
Lenny.
Good morning, Commissioners. I
Morning,
just
Lenny.
wanted to put a reminder to the community about the closure of runway 1331 at the airport. We will be closed from August 4th through September 5th. Now, there's been a few questions that cause confusion. Questions that we have is a lot about, is the airport going to be completely closed for that period of time? No, the airport will not be completely closed. Commercial service will be closed due to the fact that the airline operates on runway 1331. Now, we got a shorter runway that cannot accommodate that particular type of aircraft, but it can accommodate most of business jets. So our operation on the business side, FBO and all of that will continue pretty much as normal. Some of this T6s and T44s can still land and practice on that runway.
Oh, good.
So we're hoping that they
Good.
continue to come. Granted, they love 1331, but we hope that they continue to come and continue to operate out of that runway. The other thing that I get a lot of questions is, the airport hasn't done a good job in talking to the airline. I can assure you that the airline was informed weeks before this happened. Now, the conversations of how they go in their background between the SkyWest and airline and United Airlines, I don't know how those go. But I can tell you that if you go to book a flight from between August 4th and September 5th, there's not going to be availability to book that. Some of the questions that we get is, we call the airline and the airline can't tell us anything. That's pretty natural, because when you call call center, those people actually are not going to know. But if I would ask individuals to let them know that you have a flight booked during that period of time, and if you need to rebook, they will help you to rebook. These people on the phone obviously will not know what the operational issues are in Victoria Regional Airport and what the operational side of United or SkyWest know. So if my recommendation is to, go with the plan. If they need to rebook that, or if they need to cancel that, to let them know that that's the reason why they're rebooking or they're canceling. But the airline has told me that they eventually will start calling these people and says, we got a conflict on those dates. Would you like us to rebook you, or would you like us to cancel that flight? So we're doing our best to continue the communications. We have a system at the airport where people send us emails through the website, and we answer them as soon as possible, and we're putting the word out. So everything should be okay, and hopefully it takes less than 4 weeks and we can reopen our airport.
That'd be great.
It's growing pains
Yeah.
for the betterment of the airport and the region. That will give us a much, much better airport as we move forward with
Right.
projects. But, it's just trying to offer the community something better.
Got you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you.
Other comments this morning in citizens' communication? If there's nothing else, we'll move right along to item number 4, and that's to consider approval of minutes and take appropriate action. Each of you have a copy of those minutes in your agenda packets.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 5, consider approval of accounts payable and take appropriate action.
Accounts payable for June 16th, 2025 are $1,078,123.81. Supplemental payments are $215,640.21.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Michelle. Item 6 is to receive monthly and quarterly reports from various county officials and departments and take appropriate action.
Good morning. Today we have monthly reports from the county judge, county commissioners, precincts numbers 1 through 4, and the county tax assessor collector.
Move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 7, consider approval of bond forfeiture releases and take appropriate action.
We have none this morning.
Easy enough. Thank you, Heidi. Number 8 then is to consider approval of Citizens Medical Center interim vendor payments and take appropriate action. We have the June 12th memo from the hospital showing those interim vendor payments in the amount of $164,712.15. And the ACH report on that same date totaled $2,226,244.57.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 9 on our agenda is to recognize and congratulate Heidi Easley, Victoria County Clerk, on being awarded Clerk of the Year and take appropriate action. This was something at the State District and County Clerks Association last week, and I know Commissioner Garcia almost let that out of the bag, or kind of did.
Almost.
But,
Gotta put the cat back in the bag.
But it is a big deal to be recognized from among one's peers around a state as large as ours. So on behalf of Commissioners Court, Heidi, we wanted to give you a little memento of congratulations for being named County Clerk of the Year. And Heidi, if you wouldn't mind coming down here and taking a picture with us.
Tell us all about it.
All right. Congratulations, Heidi. Well, congratulations once again, Heidi. Well done, well done. Good job. Let's give her another round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate it.
Again, definitely a noteworthy recognition.
Yes.
Because there's 254 candidates around the state, and to be named the number 1 is a big deal. So again, congratulations, Heidi. All right. We will move on to, actually, we're going to go out of order now.
Okay.
Not knowing how long 9 or 10 and 11, or 10 in particular, will take, we'll go straight to item number 12, so we don't keep our guests waiting too long. Item 12 is to consider appointment to fill a vacancy on the board of the Victoria County Navigation District. This was a vacancy that came about very unfortunately with the passing of Robbie Burge. A huge loss there, but we are prepared to appoint an excellent replacement for that role.
Yes.
For those who haven't met Sherry McShaffrey, she is a native of Victoria, actually a CPA, a businesswoman. Her father, Elton Calhoun, had for years served on the board out there at the port and did excellent work there. So with the recommendation of the current members of the board, the court is eager to make this appointment to fill the unexpired term that Robbie had left there. So in spite of the really tragic loss of Robbie, we are excited to be able to point you to this, Sherry, and And also to thank you for being willing to fill this role. I know that there is a lot of time that goes into service on this board, more so than most boards. A lot of boards out there, you show up once a month for an hour or two, and that's it. Not so with this one, especially nowadays with all the projects taking place, the projects in the pipeline. It is a lot of work, a lot of time, and of course, it's a volunteer role. Nobody pays you for it. In spite of that, we have an excellent board out there. Byron, let's see, you'll be filling the role of chair, or is that still to be determined? Okay. Well, acting chair.
He's letting the cat out of the bag now.
No, okay, the board can do as they wish.
They're
but-
gonna have a three-legged sack race to decide who's going to be chair, I'm sure.
But these appointments are important because really the success of the navigation district is driven by the quality of the board, the dedication of the board, the competence of the board. And one thing that's led to the success over the years is the devotion and performance of people like Robbie and Elton and the current board that's really reaping big dividends as far as what's coming to fruition out there. So, again, we appreciate you, Sherry. If we can get you to come up, I will administer this brief oath of office, and then we will welcome you on board.
Right here?
Yes, right there is just fine. If you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sherry Calhoun McShaffrey,
I, Sherry Calhoun McShaffrey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of Navigation and Canal Commissioner
of Navigation and Canal Commissioner
of the Victoria County Navigation District
of the Victoria County Navigation District
without favor or partiality,
without favor or partiality,
and I will render a true account
and I will render a true account
of my doings
of my doings
to the Commissioner's Court
to the Commissioner's
of
Court
Victoria County, Texas,
of Victoria County, Texas,
whenever required to do so.
whenever required to do so.
Well, if you come on up and sign this, that will be official. Let's give Sherry a round of applause. And, well, let's see, we've got a duplicate. I'll give one to Dwayne, and then we'll put the other in the, and we'll get a picture too. I figure if we took Byron's mugshot whenever he was, it would only be fitting to do the same. All right. Byron, can you come up and join us? As either the vice chair or student chair, whatever the role is. Let's just scoot in and use it right there in the middle. All right. Did you need one, Kim? Oh, yes. All right. Sharon, thank you. Appreciate it. Byron, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Oh, Dwayne, let me give you y'all's copy. Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne.
All right.
Keep going to 14 or go back?
Let's see, did we vote on that?
No, we didn't.
Okay,
Need to vote.
do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it was a
Everybody.
tie. We'll give it to Shannon.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
Moved by Commissioner Ort, seconded by Commissioner Martin. All those in favor of this appointment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion approved. All right, back to item number 10. Let's see. Gianni, I guess I'll let you give the intro on this. This is something you and your committee's been working on for quite a while now, and we have a draft.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
As you guys are aware, every year, sometimes there's an incident, event, or an emergency we're coming to you retroactively to determine how we're going to compensate the employees that worked that event. So over the last few months, a subcommittee of representatives from the auditor's office, the health department, myself, OEM staff, Commissioner Martin was able to join us as well. We kind of talked through past events, how we've historically compensated people, and then tried to address some of the key potential things we'd want to address going forward. So our goal was to ensure clear and consistent communication for all offices and departments that may respond in the event of an emergency or incident, clarify how those countywide office closures will be determined and how compensation is determined, define the practices for employees who are required to work during an event and incident, and then the other key goal was to clearly distinguish between essential and non-essential positions, which is one thing that has come up in the past. Is it the overall designation during onboarding, or is there a distinguishment during events and emergencies? And I think we were all in agreement there is a little bit of a difference when there's an event or disaster ongoing. And so that was the intent of the initial draft of the policy. We're just here to kind of bring it to you guys, give you an opportunity to review, and still try to address any details that need to be ironed out.
Well, we appreciate your hard work on this, Gianni, and the committee members who were involved. I think it is a very good initial draft that seeks to accomplish the things that you mentioned. I know in my mind, not being on the committee, I kind of saw and see as a big picture goal with this, number one, that we, like you've indicated, we have a more, I guess, streamlined way of office closures. We don't have the patchwork of
Right.
whether it's related to temperature or rain or whatever may be rolling into the Gulf. We've got some offices closed, some open. Yes, and Rick, I know you've been actively involved, so thank you. We were going to summon you shortly. And this is a complex undertaking because we don't have a set criteria of that particular rain anticipation or temperature. Every one of these is different and dynamic, and one thing that we were seeing is an inconsistent approach to office closures. Obviously, when something was imminent, upcoming, I would be able to issue an emergency closure under Chapter 418. But a lot of what we encounter don't lead to a disaster declaration or an emergency order. We just need a more formalized and consistent way of doing that. So that was one goal. Another goal certainly was to ensure that those who were responding to the incident were compensated for it, and those who weren't compensated for it. There's always been a gray area between who is involved in what instance and how. So this document sought to tie up a lot of those loose ends to clarify and to streamline these things. And like I say, it's a good initial step at that. I know I had a few questions related to this. Some of these things I've visited with you about, Gianni. I know one related to the essential versus non-essential status. It seems that can change based on the nature of the incident. So probably a more, it being articulated in what instance essential or non-essential is the distinguishing factor. It's more than just the red versus the purple badge. There's a difference between a cyber attack and a hurricane and a flood and a bomb threat. And based upon the nature of the incidents, who responds and who's needed will change. So that's a tough needle to thread. How do you articulate that in here? Also, I thought it would be worthwhile to have some discussion on the amount of the additional compensation. I know we have our historical method of doing things. In the draft policy, it differs somewhat from the historical method, such that the outcome can be up to a 250% pay. Is that the goal of the committee? As it's worded here, you have the administrative leave plus either time or then time and a half. Is that the goal, to pay at 2 times or 2.5 times the rate?
Yep, and that was put into the policy based on some prior conversations that we had from some of the commissioners, that you wanted your employees to be paid time and a half for every hour worked related to the storm.
Okay.
And so our current practice is already, current and historical is already double pay. So they typically get admin leave plus regular pay for every hour worked up and until they hit their overtime.
So I guess
threshold,
my
yeah.
question came up, did that time and a half mean in addition to administrative leave or in total?
I would say in total.
Okay, because that's
Yes.
different than what's reflected in the draft.
But they were already receiving double
Yeah.
time.
Oh, really?
If the draft were implemented as it is, it would be 2 tiers of, I guess,
don't agree with
enhanced
that.
compensation. One would be 2 times, one would be 2.5 times. Was that the goal, is my question on that.
Okay.
They were getting compensated for their.
Okay, okay. They
They
were, okay. Yes, it'd be 2.5, right?
And
Yes,
they were getting the pay.
yes, yes. It would be the time off and they'd be getting compensated for the work,
For time and a half.
the time and a half.
And we can ask Becky here in a second, but I want to also make the clarification that everything that we're doing is based upon some eligibility standards that we have for public assistance, but we never want to make that to be set forth in the policy in which we try to seek. We want to make sure that we're covering ourselves for the FEMA PA side of things.
Right.
There are going to be things that we are not covered under. And so Becky, correct me if I'm wrong, are we able to do the administrative plus that?
The administrative leave will not be reimbursed.
Would not be
by
reimbursed.
FEMA. So you physically have to work a 40-hour week before you can get any overtime compensation. And overtime compensation is all that's eligible during emergency protective measures.
Okay.
So we want y'all to,
Well, that's okay.
What we've done in the past.
Well, that, yeah, that's, I mean, that
Yeah.
part's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need to work 40 to get overtime anyway. I mean,
Right.
That's perfectly fine.
we can't
Yeah.
seek reimbursement for the other piece of it, so I want to make sure y'all knew that.
Yes.
So the
But
county
there's gonna be
is
a-
on the hook for the admin leave.
Yes.
What would happen in a case
Well, wait.
where there was a holiday involved and they don't hit 40 and they're out there working anyway? Right,
That is the case. So-
that does happen and that has happened.
That has happened several times now.
It happened here
Seems like
recently.
every
It's
time we
kind of
have
what
an
started
event,
this
it's
ball
on
rolling, right? I mean, it did happen.
And so
Okay.
we're
So,
asking these
so they're
folks-
gonna have to, so you're not gonna throw that holiday in, you're gonna have to, the guys actually, or employees will have to actually work 40, even if there's a holiday involved, right?
For
That's-
for PA reimbursement.
But we
Okay.
can pay,
Yeah,
that. we
reimbursement.
can decide to pay that.
Right,
Right.
right,
Not
right.
gonna
But
be
you're
able-
talking about on the FEMA reimbursement part if there's an emergency.
And that
Okay.
is an important point, big picture and after the fact, but what we would need to realize is that this will be implemented even if there's no FEMA reimbursement of any kind.
We should always make that decision based upon that we do not believe FEMA reimbursement will come.
Okay.
Correct.
Way to operate.
I agree.
So Becky, I'm going to ask you this just from your historical knowledge. Our policy has put into the policy that.
Well, Dave is on the
holiday
committee
pay-
too, are you not?
Yes.
Okay, well then I guess, I don't want to leave anybody. And the goal of this was to be an open discussion about
Yeah.
tying up some complicated loose ends in a short document is always an undertaking. So again, I applaud y'all for that, but these are some of the specifics that will naturally arise. Yanni, you were about to say what?
Yeah, so we did put into the policy that holiday time will count towards the overtime calculation. So if that's in the policy, does FEMA still not cover it?
FEMA still will not cover that.
Okay.
But also FEMA likes us to have the policy in place before an event happens. So that's part of why this is coming about as
Okay.
well. Yeah, they don't like us to retroactive
Yeah, 'cause-
how we're gonna pay somebody after the fact.
yeah,
And that's what we have been doing.
yeah, because they don't want you gaming the system. They want you to have something they can look at policy-wise. Makes sense. Makes sense.
I'm
Okay.
glad to see this being put in place because
Yeah.
we're scrambling after every event. How do we do this?
Yeah, how do we do this? Is always like,
And it just so happened that one happened to have a holiday fall
Right.
into it with the ice.
And we
With
did
the-
build holidays into because it is a common,
It does seem that way,
unfortunately for our
doesn't it?
area, it seems to fall
like
during
Mother-
the
It does.
holiday
It
every
really
Mother
does.
Nature enjoys holidays, yeah.
Yeah.
Father's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there feedback on this draft additionally that any of y'all had?
I hadn't-
Okay.
Yes, Rick?
And we could also, I'm sure you can even pass and provide feedback back to us, correct?
Yes,
Format
well, I mean,
back to the
a
group
couple
and-
things I saw reading through it. In 2A, it correctly states that the county judge under 418 can
Sure.
close offices countywide, but that would be under a disaster declaration. There are often instances that don't rise to that level. We would still need it articulated that our current practice of me doing that will continue. I assume that's the goal of the committee.
We have a note to help expand that definition as
Okay,
well, and so we
okay.
can articulate that a bit clearer.
That, and also making the distinction that to qualify for this enhanced pay, it would need to be under an official closure under this document, not an early office closure in any particular office.
Yes.
Okay,
And there's a portion there that actually helps us tidy that up by our staff going forward with the department directors
Okay.
and setting forth the foundation of how we train people, make sure that we're implementing them into the emergency operations plan itself. Because we have pretty much complete visibility over a lot of things that are occurring and that can be included in that plan as we move forward. And once again, it could be that a non-essential employee now gets called in because they become essential due to the fact of what the event might have been. It could be a pandemic.
okay.
Or all the way
Okay.
down to maybe just a response to the county courthouse because damages that were received during a severe weather event. So
Judge,
Okay.
those things are going to
clarify-
shift a little bit.
Clarify the closing of the county offices.
Yeah.
Could you go over that again?
Sure.
Please?
Once this is tweaked the way that it's intended to be, a closure that would qualify staff, employees for this enhanced pay would be issued by me so that it's uniform.
Okay.
And is not a patchwork of some being closed, some being not. Department heads and elected officials still have the ability to alter hours under this if they deem appropriate, but to qualify for this pay plan, it would need to be a county-wide implemented closure. Or, let me be more clear, a closure that I would initiate.
Yes.
A closure that I would initiate, just to have it uniform and consistent. Because one of the challenges we've had over the past is an incident occurs, some offices are closed, some aren't, some for different periods of time, and then the invoices roll in, the time sheets, who gets paid what, why, and how. It was an unfair and inconsistent method, so this would shore that up, such that under 418, as is the current law, there could be a emergency order closing offices, but even aside from that, if it were deemed appropriate, I could do a countywide or a targeted closure, which is how we've always done it. That would just put into words what's been our practice.
I just wanted to make sure that it was understood that department heads or elected officials still have, I guess, the authority to decide what they want to do with their office.
Correct.
But how it gets paid is going to fall under that policy.
In order to be eligible for this enhanced pay, it would need to be an official closure.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess the other thought I had was on the pay itself. I know I communicated this to Gianni, 2.5 seemed high. I've heard of double time. I've never heard of 2.5 time. I'm not opposed to that, but is that the goal that was the committee sought to implement?
Yeah, we just use the historical value and what we've been doing up to this point by the feedback we've received from the court.
Uh-huh.
And that's why we chose to put that in there. So
Okay.
if there's an adjustment to that.
The historical method has been double time, though.
Right.
The admin hour plus hours actually worked, leading to double time.
Well, it's been both, because I think this last storm, there was some desire upon the court that every hour was paid at time and a half.
Is
I
that,
think that was how.
is that how we did it
was
last
paid.
time?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we did.
so in that sense, it would have been double time and a half.
It would have been 2.5 time is what we did. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if that after review is the preference of the committee, like I say, I'm not opposed to it. It struck me as high, but again, these are incidences where it was one of the underlying goals to compensate our folks for responding to them.
And then just circle back on Commissioner Garcia's comment in terms of authority to close. So one of the other goals was, since departments report to the court directly, we were kind of trying to clarify that departments themselves would fall under what authority or closures that you guys make, and would not have the freedom to just close offices if it didn't come from the judge as a member of the court. Elected officials fall under different statutes, and so the court really
Good point.
can't dictate when they open or when they close. But department heads, you absolutely could, because they report to you directly.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. So on the 2.5 time, is that the preference of the court?
Yeah, that's what we paid this last time.
That's what we did the last time in
Okay.
Ice Storm.
Okay. So in this instance, it would be, the enhanced pay would either be at 2 or 2.5 times, depending on whether those functions occur during an incident and would have been performed anyway, or occurred during an incident and are attributable to the incident.
Right.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
and also if there's a holiday, and the
Right.
holiday.
And the holiday can-
played a big
okay.
part.
Yeah.
And I'm
If
sure
there's no
y'all
holiday, that's not
see
gonna
why this
happen.
is, it gets a little,
Yeah.
a little complicated.
I already got a headache.
Yeah, because they were actually working on the holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's also verbiage in here distinguishing more clearly on-call versus not on-call. That's always been a question that's arisen. Okay. Are there any situations we've seen in recent memory that we're missing? I know we can't address every conceivable possibility in this document, but we see consistent things. I think most of them are addressed. Are there any other things that,
Yes, Lenny?
Lenny, yes, sir, come on
I
up.
just want to make sure, I haven't seen this draft at all. I just wanted to let you know that it doesn't matter when you close the offices and all of that. As by federal regulations, we have to continue to be open. So all the essential personnel, which is everybody at the airport, has to be present at the airport. Reasonably, we will work with people who can make it to work, but the majority of us have to be there. So if a declaration of closure of all offices goes out, we still have to show up, because we got to maintain the runways open, or working towards getting those runways open for, any emergency services and all of that.
Well, that's like with us that refers to road and bridge, they're there,
So-
same
Yeah.
thing.
I-
So,
I just want to know that
We
if the
understood
case
that.
comes, do we need to communicate with somebody and let them know? Because it's going to be a given that we're going to be open.
Right.
So,
That's a good point.
good example, how
Yes.
would that be applied in this instance? It would seem that if eligible, that would be at the 2 times, not the 2.5 times. Since that's
See into
occurring,
his-
I would think it'd be the same.
it's a thing that would be occurring regardless of the incident.
Since they have to, no matter what.
And that was one of the questions we had brought up. There are certain offices, departments, runway, I'm going to use some other examples, but I won't use them, that, yes, are going to perform their functions day in and day out, no matter what. The treasurer's office has to be here to pay people. And if the county is closed down, they were normally going to be set to pay. Those are some things that we're going to need guidance from you folks to help us identify. If Lenny staff is working directly related to keep the airport open, or other various activities that are occurring out there, we have Swiftwater rescue teams coming in, states depositing resources, and they're working directly to that. That's an easy grab. We can put that in the operational plan, but yes, those are some things that we're going to need guidance from the court on when there's little nuances that are going to come up. And I shouldn't say nuances, but these little one-off situations that we're going to have to look at to say, how do we best grab that?
How to interpret this.
Yes, and how to
apply
interpret it.
So currently, how would that be done? In
For-
a specific case like that, or anything else where it's not abundantly clear, would that, I guess, go to? I know at the end of the day, it seems like.
Comes back to you.
To
You?
Well, and currently, I will say, and in the proposed draft, this would not apply to anybody that's on a shift schedule. So all of the ARF positions that have to be on 24-hour call or 24-hour shifts, this doesn't apply to them, and it doesn't currently. None of our pay has. Law enforcement that's working a regular shift schedule that's sort of
Okay.
required to be open 24/7, it doesn't apply to them.
Okay.
Juvenile detention, that sort of has to function in general regardless, it doesn't apply to them as either.
Okay.
Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, I think this is we're almost there. We'll make the tweaks we've talked about. We won't take any action today on it. Anything else up here? Anything that y'all
Keep
anticipate?
on it, Yanni.
Yeah, and the next time we come back, we'll hopefully, we talked about as a committee to bring you guys certain scenarios so we can pull certain situations in the past and show you what it would look like, what it looked like under current practice and what it would look like under this policy, so you could see
Yeah.
how the apples to apples comparison sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're not gonna be able to tie up everything, but you're gonna be able to get close, so that's good. That's what we need.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Gianni, Rick, Becky, David, and I'm missing someone. Oh, yeah, the whole OEM, yes. Thanks for y'all's work on this. We'll probably next week, perhaps, well, whenever we can get that updated and back on here.
So just to make sure I have a good direction or understanding, we're gonna clarify, and better define the authority to close and like office official closure designation. And was there something else that we needed to address?
Yes, it would be, like you say, clarifying that an official closure can occur outside of a 418 activation. That's one. Secondly, ensuring that it's sufficiently clear that to qualify for this enhanced pay, it would need to be under an official closure rather than an office's changed schedule. And then thirdly, well, we're good with the 2 and 2.5. Am I missing something?
No, I think you got
Okay.
it.
I guess those two things.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the main thing we discussed.
Okay. And the best way to iron out the kinks of anything is to put it in place and
There you go.
see what calls we start getting.
Exactly. And you, you find out where the hitch is in the giddy up,
Yeah,
right?
just, yeah.
I just think it needs to be fair to the people that are actually out there working. I mean, they're in it. I mean,
Yeah.
just when the ice storm happened, they weren't at home
Yeah.
in front of the fireplace.
Yeah.
You know, they were in 20-degree weather, making sure the public was safe.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're gonna get it to where it's fair, so that's good.
Right.
I know that in the process of looking at this, I'd need each of y'all to go back and look at the section that we talk about in 5, which is timekeeping and reporting. That was one of the biggest things. One of the things we have to be consistent and standardized, as Commissioner Martin mentioned throughout our meetings, was that we need to make sure we're documenting as we go. And so the importance of us having it in the instant action plan, the importance of us having the 214s filled out in the daily activities.
I agree.
That are being associated directly to that disaster, not the normal operation that we normally do, is so vitally important to us, because one of the first things as we move to federal reimbursement in the PA process, the first thing you ask out of Becky is, we want all the timesheets, and can you show us that they were working directly towards this? Because then we can even get creative, that if you're working directly towards the incident and it's an emergency response, there is a possibility we can get 100% pay for that person's activities as well. But all that has to be documented, and that is a heavy, heavy load when it comes
Yes.
down to the folks that are in the auditor's office. Michelle, thank you for leading those folks and allowing us to utilize them during the process. The 2 finance teams of the city and the county both, that's a heavy load for them to make sure that they cover and make sure that we're, checking all the boxes for.
Well said. Thank you, Rick, and thank y'all once again for
Thank you,
that.
guys.
With those tweaks implemented, we'll have it back
Yeah.
on the agenda probably as early as next week.
Good job.
All right, thank y'all very much. Again, we'll take no action on that at the moment
Okay.
and move on to item number 11, which is to receive fully executed closing documents for purchase of the 20-acre Bueller-Telfner Family Partnership Tract located on Aviation Drive in Victoria, Texas, and take appropriate action. Is that a misprint, Aviation? That's not,
Judge, yeah, I just wanted to mention that our office is negotiating with the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission on addressing this property.
okay,
Okay.
We preferred it to be off of Big Bend,
Big Ben.
but we are working through that with them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I know we've referred to it
Yeah.
as Big Ben. I thought it may have just been a
Typo.
misprint, but I guess it is as it should be.
All right.
Okay, so this is, of course, the long-discussed and worked-on 20-acre tract purchase that we plan to build our Victoria County Regional Emergency Response Complex on a tract immediately adjacent to the 10-acre tract that we're building our mental health hospital. We signed the paperwork on Friday, and we're prepared to wire the money over as soon as we vote on this, and that total amount for Michelle's records, was that the even 400, or were there some deductions?
It is $393,605.25.
Okay, can you say that one more time, Michelle?
$393,605.25.
Okay,
It's the cash from borrower on the settlement statement.
okay.
Okay.
And so that is the amount that, with this vote, the court would be authorizing Michelle to wire to the title company. And with that, then this deal would finally be closed, and we can
Move on.
scratch that off the to-do list.
Thank you to everybody that's worked on that.
Yeah, I
thank
know
you,
this
guys.
has been
A lot of work, John,
a
everybody.
complex acquisition, so John
I
and
moved to-
everybody. who
I
played a
moved to
role in this.
approve.
Judge, on the name and address of seller, Bueller Telfner Family Partnership at 3612 Gill Street,
Mhm.
is that right? I looked up that address, it's just a house on Gill Street.
It could be. I know that entity has many people spread across the U.S., if that's how they put it. That's
Yeah.
Just want
fine
to
with
make
me.
sure.
Okay, so we had a motion.
Move to
from
approve.
Commissioner
Second.
Sexton and a second to receive these documents and also to authorize the wire of the amount that Michelle indicated. Is there any further discussion?
Judge, I do have a comment on the Phase 1 environmental. We did get that report, had some conversations with the environmentalists working on there. We did discover a monitoring well on the site. We're having that well tested. It appears that it's not been used in years. We'll have that water tested, and then if it comes out with no issues, we'll have it plugged. But that was discovered during our evaluation.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right. So the motion is second.
All right, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 13 is to ratify the nomination of Commissioner Shannon Martin to the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission Board of Directors and take appropriate action. This is an important board that the court has a member on, a voting member. I am happy to step off that and see Commissioner Martin take the reins.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Move for
Being a
approval.
little facetious there. I know
No.
the mint mod we discussed earlier, that I think will now be directed to Commissioner Martin, so I'm eager to get this approved. And thank you for your willingness to serve on
Yeah,
this. It
thank
really
you.
is an important board that frankly allocates a lot of money to the counties and cities within our region, so appreciate you, Commissioner Martin. Did we have a second on that?
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thanks again, Commissioner. Item 14 on our agenda is to consider approval of Resolution 2025-051 for a donation from the American Legion Post 166 valued at $2,500 to our Veterans Service Office. We're always very appreciative of the generous support of the Legion and the great work they do. Do we have a motion to approve that donation?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. We'll all need a signature on that. Item 15 is to consider the following in connection to the Victoria County Regional Public Safety Training Center project and take appropriate action. A is to receive an executed agreement from Raleigh McCoy and Associates, and B, authorized to advertise for competitive sealed proposals. John, are you able to speak to that, or is that right?
Yes, sir. The agreement with RMA was to formalize our agreement. We've been through different phases and schedules and concepts of this. We they continued to work in good faith on this project and prepared these bid documents. And this is to receive the executed contract between the county and RMA for those services. The authorization to advertise, this is a project that has the base bid of the HVAC upgrades, the conversion from a dual electrical service to a single service, some restroom renovations, the removal and replacement of the bank of windows across the front, the kitchen space conversion to the training offices, and the transfer switch installation so that a trailer generator could be brought in emergency times, but that's the base bid. And we also have alternatives built into this for the court to consider when we do receive the proposals from the bidders. Alternative one would be the rear of the building has a similar bank of windows through the classrooms, which were formerly classrooms, converting and blocking those in. Alternative two would be the library area, converting that into a training and break room area, as well as the large cafeteria, converting that and upgrading that for training purposes. The additive alternate three would be to install a generator. Even though we set it up for a transfer switch, it'll give the option for the court at award of the bids to determine whether they want the generator at that time. All these are budget issues as we go through the project. And finally, alternative four is to add the office space on the east side of the building that had been previously discussed by court. At that time, y'all could choose whether to move forward or not include that office finish out. The project is proposed to be advertised beginning Sunday, the 22nd and 29th, with an optional pre-bid meeting on July the 2nd, and then have bid openings in my office on July the 10th.
Okay. Are we on the same page about that? That was complicated as this has been, but I think I follow you, John. I know we have changed the scope of this several times, which has led to some of the delays and whatnot. Okay. Sheriff, anything from you on this? I know this is your baby out there.
Just the roof, there's some issues that we need to get addressed out there. Got water. Obviously, we had a large storm recently, but we've had water issues from day one. And I know some attention to the roof needs to get paid during this process, or we're just raining on good money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's included
Gotcha. Okay.
in the base bid.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any further discussion on 15A and B?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, John, for that explanation on that. Moving on to item 16, that is to discuss and consider prospective renovation plans and timelines for the 311 East Constitution Building and potential relocation of county offices and take appropriate action. This also is a discussion that's been ongoing about how best to configure and lay out our county offices. A concept that we're looking at, obviously, is to eventually have renovations to the 311 such that the auditor's office and the treasurer's office can be housed over there, and then their spaces can be used by other county offices in the auditor space, in particular, the high-traffic county offices. And so, John, this, I guess, is is this an update on that, or we need to give a stamp of approval to the game plan?
I know we have talked about different concepts for several months. The action that I'm moving forward with the court's approval would be develop plans and renovate the space for the elections office administration to move over into a portion of the building, as well as the treasurer's office and the auditor's office, and the improvements to the cafeteria area for a large meeting space packaged into one particular project. There is some renovation that has occurred in the area that we've identified as a treasurer's office that could be incorporated into this major project, or it could be small enough that it could be finished out by some local contractor negotiated by the facility. So we will, with that authorization from the court, we'll move forward with that concept. I'll engage RMA to develop plans for that and bring that back to court to authorize advertisement.
And you mentioned this is including elections in this with the treasurer
Yes,
and the auditor.
right.
Okay.
I think it's a good move.
Yeah.
So to be clear, this would be the authorization to proceed with that game plan in which we bid out as a single project the renovation of the space in the 311 that will eventually hold the elections office, the treasurer's office, and the auditor's office, as well as the cafeteria meeting space. And of course, we won't have the price tag on that till we get those bids back. I know we've tried to estimate that. That's been all over the map. But we'll get those bids. That'll tell us exactly how much that'll cost. And then as the court opts to proceed with that, it'll free up these office spaces here for other county purposes. And I know we've talked about portions of the district clerk's office, pretrial services, going even longer term, maybe even JP3 moving over to the current treasurer space. That'll be a bit down the road, but if the next step in this sequence of events is to get that space renovated for these 3 office spaces in the cafeteria. So that's what we'd be giving John the nod of approval for.
And the existing restroom upgrades
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
for that.
Was
added-
that too complicated, Stephanie, or did you follow along? Okay, okay. A lot of moving parts, I know. All right, I'm with you. Anything further on that, John?
Just stuff that needs to be done if we want to see that's been our vision for quite a while. We just need to get it done.
100%. All right, do we have a motion to approve
So moved.
Second.
what we just discussed? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 17, consider approval of a road use agreement
Easy for
with
you to say.
Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company for a pipeline maintenance project located in Precinct 3 and take appropriate action.
Yes, it's just a road use agreement with private contractors to ensure during the course of the work they're doing, the scope of work that they're doing, that's just protecting the taxpayers and ensuring that if they damage the road, that they're going to be responsible for those repairs. I move to approve.
A second. About time, huh?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. We'll all
Court,
need a signature on that document.
Judge and Commissioners, we do have the $50,000 cash bond that's provided to the treasurer's office for deposit. Commissioner Martin, I know in our discussions, you've talked about a section of Warburger Road being
Warburton.
a light duty, and then the other portions identified as the heavy haul, that we added that exhibit into that agreement to clarify that.
Looks good, thanks.
Thank you, John. We'll now move to item 18. Consider approval of a request for a plat exemption from Carolyn Swinson, C.J. Strandle III and Lynette Meagle at 31 Strandle Lane and take appropriate action.
Judge and Commissioners, this is a 6.3 acre tract that the Stronadals own as an undivided interest between several heirs. This divides the tract into this parent tract into 4 daughter tracts, ranging from 1.5 acres to 1.63 acres. It meets the plat exemption requirement of undivided interest, dividing and establishing clear ownership, and we recommend that you authorize this plat exemption.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 19, discuss and consider approval of a master employer services agreement with American Fidelity Assurance Company for services and supplemental insurance products contingent upon legal review and take appropriate action. Laura, good morning.
Morning.
And I guess you've got someone new with you.
This is Leela Yu from American Fidelity.
Okay, welcome. Good
Welcome.
morning.
And thank you, Judge and Commissioners and staff, and congratulations, Heidi. That's a really big honor, so, girl power.
There you go.
So I don't know if y'all wants to give a little bit of background of why we're here, but, okay. So, we're here today because American Fidelity is a partner that we'd like to recommend for the county. This is after some discussion at the level of the insurance committee. We've been dealing with a set of service issues related to the current vendor, and switching out that partnership and bringing American Fidelity on board would really solve all of that, because they're gonna bring their technology with their Ben Admin platform, which is actually what employees use to enroll. It's what they use to look at their benefits. It's also what HR uses in the background to control all of that workflow. So we really want to improve and streamline those efficiencies for HR, and we provided that service proposal for you. All of those services come at no cost to the county in exchange for the opportunity for American Fidelity to offer their products here to the employees, which will include accident, cancer, critical illness, a set of ancillary products for the employees to choose from. And if you have any questions about American Fidelity, I'm sure Leela would be happy to share that with you.
I mean, American Fidelity is the known product. So basically, you guys are going to be providing the platform for these, for enrollment, but also throwing your products in there with it, which I totally understand. I'm fine with that. Okay. Did I miss anything?
No, and it
Okay.
just brings a great level of service for Gianni and her staff, because these are salaried employees. They're not agents or brokers who are selling to your employees. They're actually going to be an extension of HR, so they can be on-site during enrollment. They can do face-to-face enrollments with employees. They can also do virtual co-browsing with employees, those who are remote and can't come. Leela can co-browse and do all those selections via online, so.
Gianni, you have anything to add?
No, I think she's covered everything.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
like that.
well, and as Laura mentioned, this did go to our insurance committee last week and got the stamp of approval. I know some of the conversation was over my head, but Gianni was eager to make the switch. Laura gave it a stamp of approval. So, yeah, I'm
Sounds good.
supportive of approving this. So I have no further questions.
I don't
Move to
know.
approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
And thank you to the court.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all, thanks. Next item is number 20, consider the following from the Victoria County Public Health Department and take appropriate action. A, receive a fully executed Texas Epidemiology Capacity Expansion Grant Program. B, receive fully executed housing opportunities for persons with AIDS contract. C, approve Texas Health and Human Services Grant Agreement. And D, approval of quote number 43200 from Pro Playgrounds, valued at $16,999 for the purchase of playground equipment in connection with the 2024-2025 Texas Healthy Communities Grant Hello again, David.
Hey,
Morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning, David.
Morning. So items A and B are the fully executed items that came through last week, I believe, or the week before last, for acceptance. Item C is going to be a renewed contract with HHSC for our Medicaid administrative claiming. It allows us to draw down some Medicaid funds for services we provide and recommendations and referrals to patients through our different programs. And then item D is going to be part of the Texas Healthy Communities grant. This project is 100% grant funded through that grant, and it's one of the required activities to provide this exercise equipment to those that can access, that have trouble accessing gyms or, exercise facilities due to transportation or financial limitations.
Where's that going to go?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Houston House Apartments is a Prospera community. We had looked at several locations, but we ran into a lot of roadblocks placing other more publicly accessible locations. So this is one community that was willing to house it, and we appreciate there.
Where's that at, David?
Houston House Apartments, it's a Prospera community. It's off of Mockingbird, behind the old Putt-Putt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, everybody.
I know where that is.
So, yes, sir, back there.
All right.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, David. Do we have a motion to approve 20A through D?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
David, I also
Again,
want to
David.
say thanks, please tell your team thanks. I know they've been busy spraying for mosquitoes and whatnot since we've been getting deluged, and I appreciating you guys providing little maps on where they've been so I can tell my constituents.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I assume it's going to be just busier from here on out
Oh,
for
yeah.
a couple of weeks. So, yeah, we just ask the public's patience, and, conditions have to be right for them to get out there to do that.
Right.
Could you speak to that a little bit? Because I know when the wind reaches a certain mile per hour and stuff, just so that the public knows that and they understand, like, why they're not out doing it this evening, why that may not occur.
Sure. So I'm by far not a vector control expert, but I will touch a little bit on it. I believe the winds have to be below 15 miles an hour to do that consistently. It has to be certain times of the day, especially when they're around. There's been a lot more bee colonies that have been established, so we have to
Right.
avoid those during certain times of the day. So we only do those, I believe, early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah,
because
that's
those are
what
back in their hives. So
I had to
we feel-
tell a constituent that the other day. It's like, I didn't see them come through yesterday. I'm like, well, they probably came through at night because you got bees somewhere in your neighborhood, so.
Yeah, and it's a lot. We don't have, a lot of drivers right now, so we're trying to get staff to help out with that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Thanks,
I
David.
gave him your personal cell phone number. just-
Yeah, David, all the time, all the time.
They all have ours. It's only fair.
Item number 21 is to consider approval of Resolution 2025-052 for a road donation valued at $371.60 for pipe and limestone from Mark Stafford at 6365 Colettoville Road, and take appropriate action.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. I think that's the one I passed down. It made its way early.
Oh, maybe.
How can you do that so cheap?
22 is to consider approval of Citizens Medical Center ICU addition and renovation AIA document G702 for payment number 13. This, of course, is in connection to the ICU expansion and renovation, which I believe is still set to be finished before the end of the year.
Let me see. When is the last payment set?
It's just for payment.
Yeah, it's just for payment 13.
Move to approve.
Second.
have a motion.
$863,771.
What'd you
Can
say,
say
Danny?
that again, Commissioner?
I'm sorry?
$863,771.23.
That's it.
All right. We had a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. 23 is to consider approval of request for payment number 13 to Citizens Medical Center in the amount of $175,461.83 from the ARPA funds, subrecipient project number VICT 11, and take appropriate action. So this, I guess, Robin, would be the hospital's draw of the
Correct, of their allotted ARPA funds.
2.75,
Yes.
I believe it was. Okay, okay. All right.
Reviewed and approved by consultant auditor's office, my office, and ready for payment.
All right.
Well, we're ready to approve it. Do we have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thanks, Robin. Item 24 is to consider approval of the following contracts from the Victoria County Regional Juvenile Justice Center. A residential contract with Brazos County. B, detention and residential contracts with the First Judicial District, which is Jasper, Newton, Sabine, and San Augustine counties. C, detention and residential contract with the 33rd and 24th Judicial Districts, Burnett, Llano, Blanco, San Saba, and Gillespie counties. D, detention and residential contract with Wise County. And E, detention and residential contract with Parker County.
Move to approve A through E.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 25 is to receive, for the record, discretionary fund budget amendment from the Sheriff's Commissary Fund 380. That looks to be $152,500, used mostly in capital improvements. Again, this is for our records only.
Move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 26, consider approval of the following 2025 budget amendments. A, general fund, various departments, revenues and expenditures. B, health insurance fund expenditures. C, general fund, sheriff's office expenditures. And D, health department revenues and expenditures.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on A through D. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Yay.
And finally, we make it to the end. Anything else up here?
No, sir.
Okay.
We made it.
All right, we got a lot done today. Appreciate everybody's
We did.
attendance. Representative, again, wonderful to
Thank
have you here with us. You're welcome anytime. We will stand adjourned and see everybody back next week.